Hey, what's up, you guys? We're the Girl and the Dreamcatcher.
And you're hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
It's hot outside. I heard you guys were out in the sun all day.
Yeah, we just did a photo shoot in downtown LA, and it was hot, but props to that photographer because every single location he found was in the shade, thank God.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I do not do well in the heat. I'm from Washington, so I step out and I melt.
Right. I just came back from Washington, and I didn't want to come home. Like, I wanted to stay out there. I'm a trail runner, so it was like the perfect place to be.
Yeah.
Washington's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how amazing it was until I left, which is how it always is.
So let's talk about this debut EP that's coming out next week, Negatives. How did this EP really come about for you guys? I feel like this project almost came natural.
For sure, yeah. I mean, the whole endeavor of just the band came very naturally. It was literally sort of a sitting at dinner just talking about life, and all of a sudden it was like, do you want to do this? And then it all just fell into place from there. Negatives itself, I mean, was kind of the same scenario. We had released a few singles and people were really asking for more content, and so we decided to give it to them.
Right. What was it creating this EP when you guys went into the studio? Is there any specific producer you guys worked with, or is this something that you guys really produced on your own?
Well, we have an incredible producer who's done a lot of what we've already released. We have some new producers on some of the other tracks, but his name is Dustin, and shout out to you, Dustin.
Dustin Burnett.
But he's incredible, and he did Make You Stay, he did Glowing, he did Written in the Stars and Monster, and My Way. Mm-hmm. So he's done a lot of our music. He's got a very distinct sound with he's got a very wall of sound kind of sound, which we've adopted. But a lot of the songs on the EP we wrote not thinking they were going to end up on an EP, and it just again happened very naturally. It unfolded very well.
Now, when you guys worked with Dustin, what is it about Dustin that you guys wanted to pick him as a producer?
Again, just to use the sort of theme of the interview, it all kind of fell into place naturally. We to make a long story short, Paula Winger is a very, very, very talented songwriter out of Nashville who actually wrote the theme song Better in Stereo to the Disney show that we were on called Liv and Maddie. Right. And so we were obviously familiar with her since she collaborated on that project. And so we started working with her as a songwriter. She kind of mentored us and taught us a lot about the songwriting process, and then ended up being like, I have this fantastic producer that I really want to pull in, and I want to see if you guys like him. Yeah. And that was Dustin. So he came into our life, and the first thing we wrote was Glowing in the Dark, even though Written in the Stars ended up coming out first. But Glowing in the Dark was the first thing that we heard from him. And we were all sort of sitting in a room. He played us a bunch of tracks, and and he was just like, how about this one? And he played the track that ended up being Glowing in the Dark. We were like, that is incredible. That's our sound. Yeah. And yeah, even though we wrote all of these songs as sort of individual, sort of their own in their own world, each of them, because I think Dustin and Paula and us two as well are so in love with sort of that sound that he created. The themes and the motifs of our music have just sort of constantly fallen into place in that way. And so when we looked at all of these songs as a collective sort of group, as an EP, as a project in a whole sense, we realized, wow, this all fits together really, really well, and that's definitely a testament to Dustin's work, for sure. Now,
have you guys had any experience actually being in a studio recording or even working with a producer, or is this a first time thing for you guys?
We both have pretty extensive music backgrounds before we started this duo endeavor. Naturally, I think it's just sort of it comes with the territory of being on the Disney Channel. It's just sort of if you're a Disney girl, you sing. Right. So I had done a lot before this, but never much of my own music. It was always things that were written for me and then delivered to me, and then I would go in on the day, and that was it. Yeah. But yeah, lots of studio time, definitely.
We've both done musical movies on the theatrical side. We're both actors as well, and so we've both done musical movies. That's a lot of studio time and a lot of incorporating that sort of idea. I worked on a crowdfunding album project. I think that was last year that came out, and so that was a lot of studio time too.
Studio is very comfortable at this point.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the songs, you guys have released 2 songs already. There's one that you guys haven't released yet that really stuck out to me, Gladiator. Can you guys talk a little bit about that song?
You know what's funny is we keep hearing that.
And we're so glad to hear it.
Gladiator. Stupid. Yeah, we had a little bit of a... There were some clips of it that some people had heard somehow, because that's just how the internet works. Right. You sign on and you're like, oh, I guess we released an album.
You guys have a rat. That's what it is.
Yeah. But everybody responded really well to Gladiator, which we were very excited about because it was a huge passion song. Right. We started out by, go in on the day, concept, record it, and you all hear it in your heads, and you know what it is, and you go home and you wash your hands of it. Yeah. And then we got it back, and it was like nothing. It was like a completely different song. It was like, it was almost like completely different artists. And so we had to keep sort of chiseling away at it. It felt like we were like carving out a statue. It was like, oh, this is taking so long. But we ended up with something that we were really passionate about. I'm really glad we pushed for it. We actually almost abandoned it.
Really?
We almost abandoned it.
Dang.
And it's maybe my favorite song on the EP.
Right. What is it about the song that you guys had to pretty much reconstruct it a lot?
It's hard because so with that particular project, it was us two, Paula, who I mentioned before, another songwriter, and then 2 songwriter producers. So that's 5 minds in a room. Right. And while that fosters an incredible amount of artistic power, it's also a lot of cooks in the kitchen. Right.
And we are very opinionated. We're not the kind of artists that are just sort of like seal of approval. We're really controlling. Yeah.
Very, very hands-on in the process. And so the 5 of us all wrote this song, recorded this song. We're very busy, and the people that we work with are very busy. So usually when we can get us all in a room, it's like for a day. Right. And so we were in there for a day, and we all, they put together, it was like drums and a guitar. Like there was no track, there was nothing, but we sort of knew the concept of the song. We had the chords, we had the words. So we put down a rough recording, and everyone was sort of like, okay, like we want it to sort of sound like this, like maybe these sort of concepts, whatever. And we were all sort of like, okay, great, got it. And like she said, for whatever reason, I think we all thought that we were communicating the same thing, but we all of us, I think, actually had
completely different things,
very different ideas, which is okay. That's what happens. Right. But so I don't know. It was a
lost in translation kind of thing.
Okay. And so as we continued, down the path of trying to put it together, there was still just sort of a lot of communication issues, which again sounds negative, but it actually really isn't. It's just sort of how it goes sometimes. We have written songs that have literally taken us an hour, and we've written songs that have taken... Gladiator took us like months to complete.
I think that's part of why we like it a lot, because it's like we kept... Oh my God, we've never worked so hard for a song.
Well, and also all of the back and forth and all of the things that were sort of lost in translation, all of those accidents ended up being very happy accidents. Right. And so there were little pieces where we could take from what at the time felt like mistakes, and those things are now in the actual song that are sort of like, we have no idea where that came from, but it doesn't matter. Put it in there. We want that. And so, it's sort of this Frankenstein's monster stitched together thing of all of these different sort of pieces of this months and months long journey that ended up becoming a song that we are super excited about.
Now, did that song, like that whole creation process, did it teach you something new about recording for the next materials you guys go in there for?
Yeah, I guess for us personally, because like I said, we're very controlling artists. Right. Making it sound so good.
Passionate is a better word.
Passionate, controlling.
Starting to sound scary.
Tyrannical. What else can I say? No, but definitely like. It's okay to let go of control a little bit because sometimes you get the best stuff out of it. Right. But also B, you cannot express enough what you want. Right. Like it's and also I think it taught us to be like less in control but also more vocal, because I think we all, like I said, we left being like, okay, we're all on the same page, and we just kind of all assumed. Yeah. But also it really taught me my value of my voice, because there's a lot of stuff in there. And this goes for everybody, too. This goes for everybody who worked on it. There's a lot of stuff in there that if Rye hadn't said something, it wouldn't be in there. And everybody. But I didn't really value my voice very much before this, just like growing up, becoming an adult, learning about yourself. And I really value, because there's a lot of stuff in there that if I hadn't pushed for it, it wouldn't be in there. And I really value my artistic voice now, and I feel more in control of the stuff that we do. Whereas before I sort of felt like I didn't want to overstep.
Right. Were you kind of shy at some point?
Oh, definitely very shy in the beginning of this whole process. And we're becoming, both of us, more brave in putting our own stamp on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I really do like is your vocals like really blend in really good together. How does that even happen? Like, is that a lot of practice, rehearsal that you guys have been doing, or again, something natural?
I mean, if this project had never happened, the whole Girl in the Dreamcatcher project, I mean, you have 2 solo artists sitting here. I mean, she with the whole Disney background, but also she has a musical theater background. Right. She's been singing alone her whole life. I'm no different. And so there are a lot of people, like our management and our agents and like when we sort of told them, hey, we're thinking about maybe doing this, they sort of were like, okay, because you think of 2 people who are used to singing alone. Right. They're not going to really work together, and somehow we did, and we don't really know why, but we're not going to question it. Like,
the thing is, like, usually when there's like a duo, it's not one sings better than, I mean, not to be rude, but like one sings better than the other, right? The other member usually does something else, like guitar or drums or whatnot. But you guys equally have great vocals. So if you guys both went out and did a solo thing, like, I think you guys would both be successful in that sense. So it's like, it's cool that you guys are blending that together.
Yeah, I honestly think that we when we first started this, we had just gone to the Katy Perry concert in LA, and Tegan and Sarah opened for Katy Perry. And we were already planning the duo, so it's not like we were like, there's the idea. Like, we were already doing that. But what we did walk away from that with was, we were like, wow, they are not 2 artists. They are creating like one sound. Like, it was like you had lost the, like, Tegan and Sarah. It was like you just close your eyes and you're hearing a sound, like sort of like a chorus. Right. And we really wanted to do that because it is really easy to be like, 2 voices, my ear doesn't want to process that. And so we've actually had to work really hard in the studio to make sure that it sounds like, you're listening to a song rather than getting distracted by how many voices you're hearing, especially because it's male and female. Right. Those usually sort of separate like oil and water. Right.
And it's cool because there are so many different things that we can play with. You look at Written in the Stars, that's mostly her vocal with kind of me playing a male background role. You look at Glowing in the Dark, it's the exact opposite. Right. You look at Make You Stay, and that's something, to her point about the Tegan and Sarah concept, that we really are proud of and really happy that we found. It's a male voice and a female voice, but in unison. She has this really awesome lower register that I don't think people really would have explored unless this happened. And I have a really powerful higher register that can kind of fit right in the pocket with her. Right. But then also you have vice versa, and then also you have Someone You Like, which was sort of a soft release that we had this March of just kind of a fan demanded thing, but that's very much like a male and female duet, with like harmonies, state of the art bread and butter duet, and so you have like sort of these 4 different sounds that you can create, and it really lends itself not only just to amazing like vocals and being able to like play around with that, but like it opens the doors for so many possibilities in the songwriting process too, of like if we want this narrative to be more of a female driven narrative, it can be, and if we want this narrative to be a male driven, but then if we want it to just sort of be this weird unanimous sound, it can just sort of be this big, so that's something that we kind of stumbled upon it as well, that was extremely interesting and enticing to us.
Well, it's going to be interesting once this debut EP drops, because you're going to know what your fans like, you're going to know what you guys like. So, I mean, next time you guys are ready for an album, it's going to be insane.
Dude,
yeah. Well, and that's something that we're that I've said before, and I think you feel this way too, that we're really excited about with this EP is, to put out sort of a collection of work of saying, okay, these are 6 songs that we feel like sort of define our sound, and then to see which ones kind of rise to the top, and see, since we have these 4 options, which option do people like to hear the most, and then kind of run with that one.
I'm just really excited because releasing singles is fun because you're like, big single, and then all the attention goes to the single, and you get to hear all the opinions, and you're like, cool, or like, I don't care. But also, like, I've never been more excited to put something out because it truly, like, there is no one who put any cap on this, and so, like, if it flops, it's like all on us, you know. And flop is, you know, whatever, like, that's doesn't really have a definition, but, like, you know, if people don't like it,
Right.
like, that's on us. But if people really love it, then we can sort of Frankenstein from that too. But it's also, I don't know, we've had so many great reactions to it, but we've never had such a big collection of content to push out.
Right.
So I'm really excited to see how people feel.
When you guys saying if it flops, it's on you, does that mean there's no label involved yet?
That's correct.
Do you guys plan on looking for something?
We're both very tapped into, you know, just the idea of everything happens for a reason, and we really believe that we've gone this far without a label for a reason. We've learned so much about again, if this sounds like I'm trash talking labels. I'm not at all. But if there was like a big governing label over us, I think it would be a lot harder for us to be able to get in the zone in the songwriting process and not be intimidated. And it would be hard for us, like she said, to sort of find our voice and to realize our power. And so it'd be too much pressure. And so I think that we really learned a lot of valuable lessons going this far without a label. If a label becomes an option down the road, that's totally something that we'll consider. But we love keeping our options open, and we love just letting things happen naturally.
Yeah, honestly, the fact that we don't have a label is more so, it's sort of like just how it happened, but it's also very much on purpose in the sense that, like, we are not out looking for one, because there are, you know, obviously labels are like everything else in the world. There's a lot of variation. So, like, some labels are just like, do your own thing, and, like, amazing, we celebrate you. And then some labels are like, that's not your sound. And you're like, well, but I don't even know what my sound is yet. So we really wanted to establish our sound first. And hopefully, it's so funny, it's like a boyfriend. The label that I find, hopefully the label that we fall for will understand. Because there are a ton of great labels out there who don't want to change you at all.
Right.
But we wanted to make sure that we knew who we were first.
Right.
You know, it's like living on your own first. You got to live on your own before you move in with the guy, you know?
Yeah, that's true. That, and I see the views are going insane on the videos, so I don't think you guys need that kind of support yet. I think you guys are good with, as far as the fan base goes.
It's happening the way it's supposed to.
The support from the fans has been absolutely overwhelming in the best of ways. We are so unbelievably grateful. It's just been an incredible ride.
Right.
Yeah.
So the debut EP drops the 29th, next Friday. Do you guys have any plans for touring? Is that something that would be possible for this project, since you guys are so busy with your shows?
Yes, that's possible. We have to plan pretty far in advance, because in the same way that, like, I mean, movies just take forever for. It's so funny. It's like people don't know how long movies take, because, like, you have to do the rehearsal and then you're shooting all of it, and there's like, so you have to plan really far in advance if you're planning on not acting for a while. And we can't be in a movie and also tour at the same time, because touring's constant. So we sort of have like a rough plan to do like a US tour sometime in 2017. I mean, maybe at the end of 2016, but it would be pretty hard because, again, it takes so much time to plan those things in advance. But we definitely, live performances are basically our favorite part of this, because we love the energy of the fans. We love to play off of that. We love to meet you guys. Like, that's the best part. So,
what is it that you guys want the fans to really get out of this EP?
I mean, what does anyone want anyone to get out of, like, the music that they put out? I hope that, I think because the biggest success for me with this music, not in a public sense, but in a personal sense, the biggest success that I've found is I feel like I've gotten to know myself a lot better. And you always hear artists say that, and you're like, blah, 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 blah. What do you mean? But, like, I really feel like through discovering more of my power as an artist and through self-expression, you get to know, like, the little weird buttons inside of your rib cages and things like that. And so I hope that through me getting to know myself, and obviously through him getting to know himself and us getting to know each other better, people can hear that and get to know themselves better. because that's what music does for me, and I hope that our music is of the quality that can do that for people.
Right.
Yeah.
We were just listening to a song, Yellow, by Coldplay.
Okay.
And we were talking about the lyrics. And she got this totally positive, lovely spin from the music. And I got this really weird, somber, melancholy vibe from it. And we were both like, how do you possibly feel that way about this song? And it's not like I'm sitting here being like, I really want the EP to confuse everyone. But like, I really hope, I mean, it's really very similar to exactly what Dove just said. You know, I just hope that people listen to it and get something different out of it. I want people to discuss it. I want people to sort of make guesses at what we're talking about, or break it down. Yeah, I mean, because God knows we did. God knows we broke it down, and we know what we get out of it. And that's the really, really amazing thing about creating anything, is that you create it kind of for you, and then you let it go for everyone else, and then it becomes something completely different. Yeah. And to I'm just really excited to watch it transform in whatever way. And we had the clay for a while, and to be able to surrender the clay to the fans and be like, now make this into what you want to make it. Right. That's a really, really exciting thing to be on the cusp of.
You guys just seem like a freaking awesome team. Jeez. I almost want to go in the studio with you guys next time.
You should.
You're invited.
Awesome. That sounds good. Well, thanks for hanging out with me, guys. You guys be sure to check out The Girl and the Dreamcatcher, and their EP drops next week, and it's titled
Negatives.
And they're awesome because?
Because we're awesome. Obviously.